Stinky Bet of the Week, first ever segment here. Once again, shout out JP, our boy. The hippopotamuses are because they are also known as stinkopotamuses.
Yeah.
So they will be our mascot for this segment moving forward. Really
the group
simply,
chat has come to life.
Yeah, and really simply, what is this? It's really just a matter of this is the bet that everybody seems to think is a lock. And as a result, we love that we get to go the other way on it. And the big part of this is going to be public money for sure. So keep that in mind, and that's a big reason for why we are looking at these. So that's why I have Sports Betting Dime up. You presented this originally as the stinky bet of the day, and once I took 2 seconds to look at it, was like, I don't have a better option. We are looking originally at this Jags and Browns game. So take me through it. I will say real quick, 85% of the money is on Jacksonville, 26% of the bets. When you see that type of disparity, it means people with a lot of money, sharps who do this for a living, are betting on that side. When you see a lot of bets coming in, it means the public is coming in on that side. Probably there was a capper like myself who put it out and a bunch of people that followed it is what happens. So where are you at with this game? I talked about in a previous segment why I love turnovers in this game, but why will the Jags cover the 3 points as home favorites?
I just right now, what's the number on the public bet for Cleveland?
How many bets or the percentage?
Yeah, percentage.
Oh, it's like 80%.
80% are in on the Cleveland Browns. What have you watched that gives you any faith whatsoever in the Cleveland? Here's what's happening. You're taking a game that Jacksonville lost last week. Let's be clear about that. The Miami Dolphins didn't win that game. The Jacksonville Jaguars lost that game. They lost it in rather calamitous fashion. You have a fumble on the 1 yard line to end the game because the next play, 80 yards, Tyreek Hill touchdown. We're talking all-time momentum swing. I don't have the EPA swing in front of me here. I'd imagine it was significant. It was certainly a 7 or 14-point swing in the actual game. So the Jags lose that game. It will happen. But the fact of the matter is they had won the game up until that point. And had they won that game, nobody in their right mind would be putting their hard-earned or loosely earned money, I don't know, they might have an inheritance or something, on the Cleveland Browns, who turned in one of the most dog shit performances you'll ever see on an NFL stage, and who have no reason for anyone to believe that it's going to get better because their quarterback is abysmal. No one's out here after watching week 1 with Daniel Jones on the Giants and saying, you know what, I think there's a bounce back in him. No one's doing that. No one's saying that because it's a ridiculous notion. He's a shitty quarterback. Deshaun Watson is a shitty quarterback. And there's a lot of other stuff going on.
It's hard for people to swallow right now, right? Because Deshaun, it's what you've seen. It's why people bet what's happened in the last 5 games. Because it just happened. I've seen it happen, so now I believe that it can happen again, which makes sense. If you've seen it happen before, you know it's plausible. But humans have this thing where if we haven't seen it happen before, we don't think it can happen again. And if we've seen it happen before, we think it's going to happen again. It's just not how it works anymore.
No. Maybe there is a good quarterback in there somewhere, but there's a good quarterback in Russell Wilson somewhere, and no one's out here standing for Russell Wilson saying that he needs to be given a shot. You know, like it's just quite as simple as this. The Browns are incompetent at the quarterback position, and say what you will, we have already about Trevor Lawrence, but they win 9 games every year. Yeah. You know, there's something there, and they do have some weapons. I love Brian Thomas. They got 2 running backs who can be a number 1 now. That says more about ETN than it does about Bigsby, but there's something there. Their defense does create turnovers. They do have good pass rushers. Eric Armstead's in the middle now. While he's healthy, that's a positive. You have linebackers who clean up everything. A secondary that's pretty wonky, but like, hey, who's going to be testing that? Deshaun Watson.
Right.
80, whatever the percent, 75, 85, 95. I'm throwing it out like Trump after the debate. You know, we're winning by so much. 90%. These people are putting their money on Deshaun Watson after what they just saw, after what they saw last year, after seeing the burner account. It's definitely him, by the way. Yeah, come on. After seeing what his former teammates are saying about him, which I'll have to believe. By what you watch that game, and it's just, it's an ick that cannot be washed away.
Yeah.
And the idea is they're going into Jacksonville. It's going to be hot and humid and nasty. It's going to be Jacksonville, Florida in September. Nobody wants to be there. The Jags are going to have an advantage on home field just on the baseline with the weather. You got a quarterback who is spiraling but can't throw a spiral, and a Jaguars team that, yeah, they lost it, but they got a lot of reason. If they clean up, I don't know, one fumble, they win a game against the Dolphins on the road in week 1, and everyone's talking about them like, hey, is this the Jags year? Yep. But instead, they have a calamitous end. They don't need a calamitous end from the Browns. They don't need a calamitous. They're going to handle them.
Yeah.
They're a much better football team. And by the way, anytime the Browns defense wants to show up, let me know.
I think they're going to show up. This is how this bet loses. Short fields for the Browns. That's it. The
and
way
they kick like 7 field goals.
But they might have to. To that point. Same time, I mean, there's something to the idea that Jerome Ford breaks a screen pass for 25 yards. That's it. But look, if that's what you're banking on, then yeah, I'm going to take the inverse of that. The other thing to keep in mind for this one is going to be the basically the luck rankings. I love what Action Network has done there. They've got the actual luck ratings for a game.
Nice.
One team got beat by like what? It was 33-17, right? They lost by basically
and it wasn't even that close.
And it didn't even feel that close. There was a couple the touchdown late, but the point is they still had like a very low luck rating as the unlucky rating. It wasn't like they got
their ass kicked.
They just got smacked
by a Dallas team that's fine.
They're fine. I mean,
Dallas is a 9-10 win team. There's plenty to celebrate there.
In a weak NFC, I fully agree with that. Especially a weak NFC East where you've got 4 wins piled up for you with the Giants and
They didn't play Kansas City and get doubled up. They played the Cowboys.
Right. But the other thing here is the Jags, the luck rating was terrible. Basically everything in that game, all the underlying stats and the overlying stats. The only thing that really Miami could hang its hat on is say, we gave up 4.9 yards a carry, but we had a really good rush EPA because we weren't letting guys break long runs. Travis Etienne fumbles through the end zone. That helps that rush EPA. But at the same time, that's also a big knock on their luck rating. So their luck rating in that game was very low. It's things that I'm going to continue to look for all years. Fade the previous results of what just happened, and nothing helps me fade that more than this team was clearly unlucky, defined by metrics by a couple of guys at Action Network who are doing a really good job putting that stuff together. So
for sure.
I'm fully on board with all of that.
I love it when the numbers line up with what I say.
Yeah, 100%. Makes you look really good.
Yeah.
Let's
or dumb.
All right, we're using Outlier to build this anytime touchdown parlay. I know we've got a couple looks here, so hit me with your first look. I'm gonna bring that player up real quick.
I like Aaron Jones, Minnesota running back, weird to say, against the San Francisco 49ers. Listen, I didn't make this play because there's some weirdness and there's a Sam Darnold to it all, but ultimately I do think that Minnesota will be able to move the ball a lot better than the Jets did against the 49ers this upcoming week. And Aaron Jones, inside zone, outside zone, doesn't matter. He's clearly the number one back there. And I think that Minnesota gets on the board a couple of times in this game. So give me Aaron Jones, because not only can he get it on the ground, he can also get it through the air. And he's a really good pass catcher. Sam Darnold's a guy who's going to have to dump the ball off a couple of times, at least in this game with the 49ers pass rush. And he's not a guy who, you want standing back there all that long, making decisions on the fly. Execute the offense, and sometimes that offense is going to be give Aaron Jones the ball. You get the Niners against screens. It actually hasn't been all that good in recent years, and you got Devondre Campbell out there at linebacker. I think Aaron Jones can make that guy miss and get into the end zone on maybe a 15-yard scoring touchdown on either a run or a pass. Give me Aaron Jones. I think he gets into the zone.
That's going to be what it has to be. I would agree with that. And I do think the Vikings will be a little bit better than people might give them credit for. Really going to come down to, do you think Sam Darnold can move the ball at all? If he can, going to be in a lot better position. Obviously, he's not going to have much over the middle. Doesn't even have his starting tight end once again. And Fred Warner will continue to claim that part of the field for himself. Yeah,
so he's wild. But Kevin O'Connell is such a good coach that here's an idea. Maybe they'll try to block him.
Yeah.
I really think we're underestimating how bad Nate Hackett is at being an offensive coordinator, and I don't think anyone thinks he's a good one. So, can I throw another one your way?
We're still overvaluing him. My first tutty play here is going to be, and we're going to look at this if we can together to put it together into a parlay. But my first one here is going to be a number that just doesn't make sense, and you kind of have to hold your nose. But it's Najee Harris. Najee Harris is getting plus 195 to score a touchdown.
Wow.
There's a couple things working in our favor here. One is this team is going to be running the ball. We know that. And they're playing the Denver Broncos. So whenever you need to run the ball, this is a good team to go ahead and play against.
No doubt.
31st in defensive rush DVOA last season. And I don't really know how you could claim they improved in that area this year. So if you look at our boy here for in this one, okay, it's tough to feel like he's going to have a good year in a situation where Jaylen Warren it's been said that he's going to be a bigger part of it. But he's not, first of all, he's banged up. So you're already looking at a few less. I think we're looking at probably more close to like a 30% snap share, but also snap share is not opportunity share. And the rushing opportunity went 77% to Najee in this game. So if the Steelers find themselves anywhere inside the 10, it's going to be a couple of Najee runs. Hopefully he stops running into the butt of his offensive lineman.
It's going to be hard.
Might be hard, but if there's a team that you can find a hole against, it's going to be this team in the Denver Broncos. I know some of their stats were bloated by getting just waxed by the Dolphins last year, but even in the other 16 games that they played or whatever, it was still not impressive.
It's not as if when they got waxed, it was the run game.
Yeah, 100%. It was just rushing touchdowns, but it was everything. So that would be one at 2-1. I got to take it. I can't leave that alone for Najee in this situation. So.
Let me throw you a Sam Laporta. We're going to stay in the NFC North on my end. I don't know what Jared Goff was doing, but it wasn't effective quarterbacking, and yet the Lions won on Sunday Night Football. There's an issue that the Lions have that I do think they're smart enough to acknowledge and figure out, which is that we saw what the Rams did. They took Amon-Ra St. Brown out of the game in the slot. And Jared Goff is the kind of quarterback that needs to throw the ball between the numbers. He just needs to be able to see everything. I think that a lot of teams are going to replicate what the Rams did this past week and say, okay, Amon-Ra, we're going to bracket you in the slot. Well, if you still need to throw between the numbers, that leaves one other option, and his name is Sam Laporta. Sam Laporta is a hell of a tight end. I know he's coming off an injury, all that, but if you're close to the end zone and you're getting your number one option, he's your number two option. Sorry, I just don't. There's no Josh Reynolds there anymore. And say what you will about Jamison Williams, he's not a red zone kind of guy. He's a big game playmaker. Yeah. So, yes, they want to run it. No doubt about that. Everyone now knows what they want to do. They're two-dimensional in that if they can't run it, they're going to try to throw to Amon-Ra St. Brown. And if they can't throw to Amon-Ra St. Brown, well, you got to go somewhere else. It's got to be Sam Laporta. I like him to score a touchdown this week because I do think the Lions are capable enough, particularly on the offensive line, to move the ball this upcoming week. So give me Sam Laporta as the new number one option, I think.
And the linebacking core for the Bucs has regressed tremendously, and now their incredible, maybe best safety tandem in the league is hurt, as is two of their cornerbacks. So there's going to be some thin coverage going down for the Bucs. Really liked it as maybe an ability to cover more than a touchdown before those injuries. Nice. Really don't know if I want to have to bank on Baker having to make a comeback via the throw. At least he should be able to throw more than they'll be able to run. Maybe there's some Jahmyr Gibbs stuff. We'll probably see a few more packages for him because you're not running on this defensive front for the Lions right now. They look incredible. But my second tutty here, Gus the Bus, and I love that we're still getting plus 185 for Gus the Bus. Gus Edwards on the Chargers, go Chargers, to get in the tutty here. Look, he's still out-snapped, out-rushed, or at least out. His volume was greater. He didn't have more yards than J.K. Dobbins last week, who just loved J.K., but so sad to watch him just run on one leg essentially at this point.
Yeah.
Still have broke off those runs. What could have been, but
Kamani Vidal's season is nigh.
Yes. But the Gus the Bus here, I know we're in a different situation for him. He did not look good last week. Jim Harbaugh is still going to give him the ball inside the 10, and he's still giving him the ball as the number one running back on this team. It'll probably be close to like another 12 to 10, but I think we're going to see a lot more than 22 rushes for this team against the Carolina Panthers, who, if you need any kind of reminder about how bad they are, Like they let us know they are who we thought they were. Let's put it that way.
Right. Actually, they're much worse than I thought.
I think they might be. And I tried to give Bryce Young the benefit of the doubt, but this has positive game script written all over it. I don't need to say much more than that. The Panthers were the worst rush defense or bottom 3. But
I mean, they're abysmal.
Whatever. Like, yeah,
they don't have the dudes. They don't have the dudes. They don't have the scheme. Gone. Yeah. They don't have the will.
Yeah, and you're getting plus 180 on FanDuel for Gus the Bus to get a tutty because of one bad week last week. Love that. And once again, as we know, the Raiders, much better defense than we're going to see here against Carolina. So give me Gus the Bus.
Okay, give me Alvin Kamara to score a touchdown because we're just thinking about Derek Carr. We're thinking about the new scheme. You know who scores a lot of touchdowns in the NFL? Thinking about a guy who was effectively coordinated. At least he was part of the game planning for the 49ers last year. Christian McCaffrey scored a lot of touchdowns. Alvin Kamara scores a lot of touchdowns. He's got a quarterback who I think is now in a scheme that can open it up. But you got a versatile guy, a guy who gets targeted as much as anybody in the league from the backfield. He can run it in. He can catch one and go. Christian McCaffrey, it was always a good bet to take him to score a touchdown. I think he went for like 18 straight weeks in a row scoring a touchdown. I think Alvin Kamara is going to run off a similar streak this year, where just every week he's in the end zone because of the new outside zone Shanahan Kubiak system they got. You're taking Alvin Kamara. He's got something to prove, contract year, all that jazz. I just think he gets into the end zone again. Yeah. I've already said I'm in on the Saints. So if I'm in on the Saints, that means I got to be in on Alvin Kamara.
I love it. Yep. And I'm going to close us out here. And I got to take a fade the Giants once again, because B-Rob still getting plus 155 for a tutty over here. And like, if you're worried about Austin Eckler eating into Brian Robinson, like stop. This is not Austin Eckler who won you fantasy leagues 3-4 years ago. Not Austin Eckler who's catching 100. Well, he caught 100 balls. So if you had a PPR, you're probably.
We're playing anytime touchdown, baby.
Right, precisely. And we're playing like, how do you get in the end zone? You're usually a little bit closer. Don't even discount Brian Robinson in the pass game as well. The Giants, they suck against running backs, period. They don't have the linebackers for it. They certainly don't have the defensive backs to come up and help on it.
Dude, they're so awful. As bad as they are on offense, they're worse on defense, which is stunning.
I know. And what's stunning is the Commanders might be as bad on defense, if not as a little bit worse. So that says something as well. But touchdowns should be at least, I predict this at around a 46, 47 total for this game. You're looking at like a 27-20 kind of thing, I would imagine, because both these teams will be able to score. What's the opposite of an immovable force meeting, right? Like whatever the opposite.
The American populace and a lazy boy.
Love it. Perfect. That is this game in a nutshell.
I'm not getting up, getting in my scooter.
Yep. Somebody, or you just have the cold box right next to the chair and you're good to go. Harkening back to our
that'll be us on Sunday.
Can't wait. But all right, so if you put these together, if we put all 6 of them, obviously we're getting crazy. I think we do 2, 3 leggers here. Okay. I'm gonna put yours in one and put mine in one and go from there.
We'll see who wins.
We'll see how it goes. We'll see if we can get a little. We're gonna be looking at close to 10-1 on each of these, I would imagine, because we both got plus money odds on them, close to 2-1 for a couple. So that's going to do it for week 2 here. We're going to be getting into week 3 as well, getting back to it next week. So definitely make sure to subscribe to that page, all that good stuff. And until we see you next, happy betting.